and we will get the cows fed. Those are the two basic things I have to do in any emergency, and I've got to make sure it gets done, and the whole operation is designed around that. Yes, Jim?
I was going to point out some things. That's important because the cows have to get milked, otherwise there's a welfare problem with the pressure in the gland and potential mastitis subsequent to that. So the dairy has to have a backup system to operate the farm from a welfare standpoint. But observe here, the cows are in a holding pen back there, so the entire pen of 340 cows comes into that holding pen. Welfare concerns on a dairy like this would be there's a gate back there called the crowd gate, so it's not pushing the cow. We want to, the workers are trained not to push the cows, that would be a welfare problem, but to just shorten the space. So they can't actually physically push the cow, they just make the space smaller. The cows then move forward here. And then the fun thing to do on the dairy farm is watch the cows coming in the lane coming in. Once they learn to come on the rotary bar, they actually fight to get on the box on this bar. They actually appear to be having fun going around in circles. The first time is really difficult to get the heifer on the parlors, but after they learn it, so you can just watch them just coming in and getting on. I'm not sure that's probably important. There's often an ear tag reader to read an RFID tag that informs the milking station or the milking machine what cow that is. And then the milking amount of milk produced and the flow of the milk goes to the computer for monitoring and assessment. And then it's then also fun is to watch how calm they are. So if you were an auditor for this dairy for a welfare audit, you should come into the parlor. The audit should include how calm they are in the parlor. So you should have metrics to watch the cows come in to a parlor, whatever it is, watch the people moving and handling the animals, and watch the calmness of the cows through the system. And I'm saying them very calm. And then when they go off, a fun thing to do is watch, they just kind of take their back legs and put it on the stationary platform and then just pivot off. It's like, it's kind of a fun little thing.
How do they know when it's like they're getting to the end? Do they just know, or is there like a signal?
There's a bar behind them all the way, and they're in the bar released. But, you know, they just get used to it. 3 times a day, they kind of know the whole routine very well. Like Jim said, it takes us 2 days to train a new animal. You know, we replace about 38% of our animals in a year. So we're constantly having new animals to train. And they come in at a very special time, and the Rotary slowed down tremendously, and there's 4 people back there working with those animals in a very soft manner.
What's that flap there?
Yeah, so Jim was referring to an ID as the cows walk in the barn, so that black flap that you see there is an actual ID that's reading an electronic ID that the cow has. It identifies the cow and identifies what stall she's in, and then measures her individual milk, because each of the milking equipment has an electronic reader for flow of milk, very, very accurate, and then that's sent out directly to her system. So 3 times a day, we're getting constant information on that cow as far as the milk production. Yes?
Other than reading their milk weights, is there any biometrics you guys use, like looking at their SCR or bulk like tags or something like that to monitor?
No, we're not using it.
Okay.
I don't know that much about cows, so this might be a stupid question, but when you are training the heifer, or the young cows that come on, thank you, is there any way to do like positive reinforcement or something to make them want to go on as opposed to kind of forcing them on?
What we do is use the gate that hooks up, so it funnels, and then we just gently, no one can use a closed fist because it will light up on the camera. Immediately that shows up. So, you know, and the speed of your hand with the artificial intelligence will also, we also are allowed to come from behind the cow and put our shoulder into the rear, the tail holds, and help her along that way. So between those things.
And another strategy is to have the heifers, they just gave birth, to follow the cows Because if you just had a bunch of heifers, the first ones going out by themselves would be really good. But the common strategy is have them follow the cows, and that helps. But I think I'm really excited about what he said about he's going to build a common calving barn, or dry cow and calving barn, with essentially could be a sham
Oh, to
rotary.
teach them.
And so from a positive training standpoint, we would say, we would want you to experiment with having the heifers and cows just go on without any milking. So they get used to just going on without anything happening.
That's what we call espuelina. Comes from Brazil. It's a very common practice. Average time for milking to be completed, so the rotary takes about 10 minutes to go around, but we have a whole prep station. So there's 3 people over there. The first person is putting a tea dip, which is lanolin, glycerin, so it has skin conditioning, and it has a food grade iodine with it that will kill bacteria. And then we prime the cow to make sure that the milk is flowing properly and there's no mastitis. And those things stimulate the release of oxytocin. Oxytocin takes about a minute once the stimulation occurs to start creating the milk lepton. So then the cow travels another 3 or 4 stalls with the iodine on there, and then there's a second person with an individual paper towel who is cleaning and massaging the udder and cleaning that off, especially paying some attention to the teeth ends on that process. And that stimulates the cow even further. And then another 4 stalls down, and you can see the individual right there. That's the third one. He's hanging the machine. So now the cow has had that whole minute of letdown.